Hello, everyone. We are going to be talking about how to make your parachute. And so the way that we're going to do this, well, actually, I'm going to go over materials you need first. You are going to need your duct tape. This will be the last step that you need duct tape for. You are going to need the remainder of your string. You are going to need the garbage bag that your materials either came in or were packed with. You will also need a pair of scissors that are capable of cutting. And you will need a rocket that is pre-assembled by you. Okay, once you have all those items, you are ready to go to make your parachute. Okay, so I will go as slow as I can here. This is a bit of a complicated process, so bear with me here. Follow along carefully. All right, I'm going to ask my cameraman to zoom in a little bit. That way you guys can see what I'm doing. Cameraman, there we go. It's told Hollywood level production here. So what you're going to see here is I have not unrolled or unfolded my garbage bag. I want to keep this the way it is for now. What's going to be tough for you guys to see is one side of it is connected. You can see I have that line that goes right down the seam here. Okay, this part we actually want to cut off. So I'm going to cut just below that line. So basically what I'm making is a plastic garbage bag tube, right, where there's no closure at the other end. Okay, so I'm going to take that side and I'm going to cut just below that line and get rid of it. Okay, so now I've cut that little seam off. Again, you can see it right here. You've got that little seam. I know it might be hard for you guys to see. So on this side now, this side is open as well as the other side here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and unfold my garbage bag now. I'm going to open it up. Just like this. Okay, so now I've got my garbage bag. It is opened up and it's basically just like a garbage tube, if you will. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take this garbage bag, I'm going to clear my space on a table, and I'm going to lay this thing down and make it as flat as I possibly can. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to lay it out like this, and I'm going to unfold all the parts. There we go. Maybe I'll get this side first. There we go. That's better. Okay, so I'm going to take this garbage bag, I'm going to lay it down, and I'm going to use my thumbs. I'm going to pull on each corner, and that's going to help me straighten out the garbage bag a little bit. Okay, the straighter you make this, the better it's going to end up being. So again, we want to try and make this as straight as we possibly can. Okay, you can see I still got some creases, so I'm going to try and make this a little better. There we go, that's a little better. Okay, so now you can see that I've taken my garbage bag. It's a tube, right? We cut off the seal, and now it's just kind of laying on the desk. Okay, what we want to do is we're going to actually cut one side of this garbage bag so that it turns into a garbage sheet, right? So it's just one flat piece of plastic. So I'm going to take one side. I'm going to pull a little bit just so I know I'm at the edge. And again, we want to try and make this as straight as possible, but if you're a little curved, that's okay. Okay, we'll go ahead. I'm just going to cut this side, just like that. Okay, and now I should be able to take this piece and unfold it into one big garbage bag, or garbage sheet. Okay, so if I do that, I'm actually going to scoot and create a little bit more space here. Okay, and I'm going to get the rest of this on here if I can. There we go, we're pretty close. There we go. Okay, now, here's where it starts getting complicated. Okay, so I'll try and go through these steps slowly. There's going to be a lot of folding, a lot of cutting, so just kind of be ready for it. Okay, our next step is we want to take this sheet. Right now it's a rectangle. We want to turn it into a square. And the way that we're going to do this is we're going to take one corner. So I'm at one corner of my garbage sheet, and I'm going to fold it into a right triangle down here. So I'm going to grab this corner, and I'm going to pull it down to the bottom, and I'm going to line up the bottom of the garbage bag with the other piece there. Right, so I've created a right triangle. I'm going to fold this nice and smooth there. Just like that. There we go. Okay, so now you can see I've got a right triangle. Now what I'm going to do, you can see it created a line right here on this side. This part of the garbage bag we don't need anymore. So I'm going to cut this off straight down that line and discard and get rid of this part here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, take this, I'm going to cut as best as I can. These garbage bags sometimes are tough to cut. If yours is jagged and whatnot, again, it's okay. It's not huge. We're going to cut some of this again off anyways. All right, so I cut that side. I'm going to go ahead and discard this. I do not need it anymore. Okay, next step. I now have my square. I can unfold my square. Okay, now if you see, it's a beautiful square. It's a lovely square. I'm going to take this square and turn it into a functioning parachute for a water rocket. Okay, so here we go. What we're going to do is I'm going to take one corner of this parachute and I'm going to fold it down to the opposite corner. So I'm going to take this corner and fold it down and match it up with this corner. Okay, just like this. And again, every step of the way, I'm going to try and smooth this out as best as I possibly can. It's just going to make it come out a little bit better at the end. So take this, smooth this, there we go. I can move it a little bit. There we go. All right, so don't worry if yours doesn't match up perfectly down here. It's not a huge deal. We're going to cut some more of this off anyways. Okay, so I've got my triangle. Okay, by folding from one corner to the opposite corner. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this triangle and I'm going to fold it into a right triangle. So I'm going to take this corner and fold it over to this corner. Bear in mind, this is the long side of my triangle. Math teachers would be proud. This is called the hypotenuse. Okay, so I'm going to fold over that and it's going to go to this corner. This is the folded edge, right? It's not an open edge, it's a folded edge, so it's closed. So I'm taking this and I'm going to match it up with this side here, okay? And now I've got my right triangle, okay? From there, this right here, this corner is going to be the middle of your parachute, okay? So we don't want to do anything with that right now. We're actually going to be folding over that corner a few times here, okay? So we folded it over once. Now I'm going to fold over another time. So I'm going to grab this corner down here and fold it over to here, just like that, okay? You can see we got the same thing again. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this corner and I'm going to match this edge up with this edge. Okay, so I'm going to grab this corner here. I'm going to fold and I'm going to match that straight edge up with the straight edge on the opposite side. Okay, once I have that, you can kind of see it creates this weird little shape. And then it also, I don't know if you can tell easy enough, but there's a little line right here. Okay, if you can get closer, there. Okay, so it creates this nice little line right here. This line is what we're going to cut. Okay, so this part here is our parachute. This part down here is going to end up being garbage. Okay, so I'm going to take that. I'm going to cut down that line. If I can grab it all. Okay. Okay, so again, this part here, garbage, I get rid of that. Now I can take this piece here, and what we're going to do is we're actually going to do one more thing to this before we unfold it and do the next step. Okay, and that is we're going to create a little hole. Oops. Oh, maybe I should put it back down. Okay, we're going to create a little hole at the top of the parachute, and the reason for that is when that parachute deploys, if there's a hole in the top, it keeps that parachute up and centered. If we don't, then your parachute can kind of flop around a little bit. So it doesn't need to be a big one. All we're going to do is I'm going to take this, and I'm just going to cut maybe about an inch or so, and I'm going to curve my cut a little bit, and that's going to make that hole a circle. Okay, so I'm going to take this, like I said, about an inch, and I curve the cut a little bit, okay? And then what I can do is I can now unfold my parachute, and we can see what it looks like. Okay, so you should end up with a parachute that looks kind of like this. It's got that hole in the middle, and if you want to lay it down and look again, we could count, and there should be 8 sides to this parachute, or it should be called an octagon. Okay, and sure enough, there it is. We've got our 8 sides on our parachute with 8 different corners. Okay, so our next step now is going to be taking this parachute and attaching it to the rocket itself. The way to do that is we are going to be using string and tape to make this happen. Okay, so I'm going to show you once, and then again, by the magic of movies, it's going to be magically done for me. Okay, so with the remainder of your string, what you're going to want to do, we want to take this and cut this into 4 equal parts. Okay, because we're going to take one piece of string and it's going to attach to 2 corners on that parachute. All right, so in order to get 4 equal parts, all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my string and I'm going to fold it exactly in half. So that's going to take my string and make it into 2 even pieces. Okay, then again, what we're going to do is once I have it folded in half exactly, I'm going to take this and I'm going to fold it one more time to make it 4 even pieces of string. Okay, so good. Now I've got 4 even pieces. Now what we need to do is we need to make some cuts to make sure that we actually have 4 different pieces. Okay, so for me, I might actually unfold this just so I don't cut the wrong thing. So here I am at half. Cut that. Take this one, fold this one in half again. Cut that one. And then do the same thing here. Okay, great. So now we have 4 even pieces of our string left. I'm going to show you how to attach one, and then you guys will take care of the rest, and then I'm going to show you how to attach it to your actual rocket. Okay, so what we're going to do is these pieces of string need to reach to opposite sides. Or no, sorry, we did take that back. We are going to attach to adjacent corners. So you want to tilt that down a little bit. Okay, so the way that works, what I mean by adjacent is we're going to go to corners that are just next to each other. Okay, so this corner will attach to this corner. This corner will attach to this corner to this corner, so on and so forth, all the way around. Okay, so what you're going to end up doing is I'm going to take this string, and it's going to attach here and here. Oops, sorry, I'm just going to attach one, and then I'll show you the other one. Okay, so to do that, I'm just going to take a little piece of tape. Maybe. Okay, and for this, you probably don't need an entire piece of tape. I'm going to cut some off, and then I'll cut that in half. I don't think we need an entire full piece. So I'll take this, cut it in half, just like that, and then I'll take this piece of string, and I'm going to tape it to this corner here. Okay, now I'm going to try as best I can to keep this from bunching up on me and whatnot. So I've got that tape taped down, or string taped down. Again, we want to make that as tight as I possibly can. Okay, and then I'm going to take this piece of string and we will attach it to the one just next to it here. Okay, once we've done that, then what I would do is I'm going to follow that exact same procedure, but with this corner and this corner, this corner and this corner, and this corner and this corner. When you're done, you should have 4 loops between the corners that you can grab the center of all of them and create a parachute that looks like this. Excellent, thank you, backstage staff. Okay, so it's going to create a parachute that looks like this. Okay, you can see we've got our 4 loops, and what we're going to do is we're going to take those 4 loops, and we are going to attach them to the rocket itself. Okay, so there are some options for this. You'll notice, first of all, that I'm grabbing the center of my parachute. We have some options here. You can, if you can create a little hole in your body part of the rocket, that's a great way to go. You can loop this through and tape it that way or tie it on that way. For now, I'm just going to show you how to tape it, which will also work just fine. Okay, so what we're going to do, just like everything else, we are going to tape it down to the inside of the body of your rocket, and we are going to make that tape as sturdy and strong as we possibly can. So at this point, you should still have a pretty decent amount of tape left. Let's use some of it. Right? Let's make sure that we're making sure that our parachute's not going to fly off on us, because it's kind of a big deal. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm going to take this tape, I'm going to find that center point of my parachute, where if I take it and kind of move it around, you can see how it deploys, and it works the way that I want. Okay, I'm just going to take this, I'm going to take these loops, and I'm going to place them on the inside of the body. Okay, and what I'm going to try to do, as best as I possibly can, is I'm going to try and separate the loops a little bit. So you'll notice I have a gap in the middle there. See if get this to do what I want it to do. Okay, so I've got a little gap there. I might close that a little bit. But I'm going to place this tape so that it goes kind of on the outside of this loop. So it tapes here, tapes on the inside of the loop, and tapes on the other outside of the loop. So we have 3 different places where it's getting taped down. Okay, so if I do that, and again, I'm pushing really, really hard here. Tape as hard as you possibly can. Okay, so if we do that, again, hopefully pushing real, real hard, we want to make sure that tape doesn't fly off. If you have some excess, I would just cut that off a little bit. Okay, and then what you can do, if there's any still left over, I would take that and just kind of fold it over, and that should be just fine. Okay, once you have that, your parachute is now attached to your rocket, and you are ready for launch. Okay, the last step that you might have well, you will have, is how we actually take this rocket, or the parachute, and we stuff it in the rocket itself. Okay, so here's a fun part. Every now and then, your nose cone gets caught up in your strings, and it makes it really fun to try and get out. Okay, so to stuff the parachute in the rocket body itself, I'm going to find the middle of it, okay, the middle of the parachute. So here's the top, here's the hole that we created. I'm going to take this, I'm going to smooth this out just like this. Okay, and we want to bunch this up and make it as small as possible. And we are going to do like a Z fold. So I'm going to go back one way, back the other way. Okay, so I'm going to go forward, backward, forward, backward, forward, backward, forward, backward. Okay, then I'm going to make sure, this is kind of a trick here, we want to put the string on the bottom of the parachute. If you do that, the string will help pull that parachute out. Okay, so, oops, sorry, not that string. The string for the nose cone. So I'm going to take the string for the nose cone and lay that in the body first. I know this is hard for you guys to see. Okay, so I'm going to lay that string from the nose cone in the body first, so you can see it there. Okay, and I'm going to take this parachute, I'm going to put it over the top of that, so that when this nose cone pops off, I'll show you here how this works. When that nose cone pops off, it pulls everything out with it. Okay, so if I have my nose cone put on, imagine we have our rocket here, it launches up in the air. If I pull this nose cone off, you can see how the parachute pops right out. Okay, so that is kind of what we're looking for. Once you have that all mastered, you guys are ready for rocket launch.
All right, so that was pretty graceful, the way that he created that beautiful parachute. We're going to do the less graceful method. Okay, if you're getting frustrated and you can't get that perfect octagon and you keep coming up with a half parachute, I'm going to show you the easiest way. All right, so same deal. You got your plastic bag. You want to cut the sealed end off of it. And then you're going to fold or unfold your garbage bag. Open it all the way up. It's very stuck together right now. Okay. This is actually going to make 2 parachutes. So it's like a garbage tube right now, like before. Try to get this silly thing to go flat. Okay, once you guys have it flat, you want to try to find the center of it. Okay, so I'm going to go underneath. I'm going to put my finger up so I create a little tent. Okay, I'm going to find the center of the bag. I'm going to kind of flatten it out a little bit. All right. And then, if you guys can see right here, you're going to find the shortest portion of that bag, and then you're going to make a cut straight across right where it is. Boom. Okay, the shortest part of the bag. And then, when you open it up, it's not as pretty, but it will still create a couple of parachutes for you. All right.